My name is Emily. I met my husband Jack at a summer music festival in our city. We just happened to be next to each other in the crowd during our favorite band's performance. The music and festival atmosphere helped spark easy conversation between us. We realized our music tastes aligned. We discussed favorite artists and even made plans to attend another band's concert that we both liked. Our shared interests marked the start of a close friendship, and I started spending lots of time with Jack. One lovely evening during a walk in the park, listening to street musicians, we confessed our feelings for each other and realized we wanted to be together. We started dating after that. Jack proposed about 3 years into our serious relationship, and we soon became husband and wife. Now I'm 28, and we had been happily married for 8 whole years. We have a daughter named Chelsea who just started first grade. When I married Jack, he felt like my one and only man on earth. At first glance, our marriage seemed stable, full of love and trust, but after Chelsea was born, life difficulties started weighing on us. I went back to work when Chelsea was only 2 because we often lacked money. Jack also soon changed jobs for one more demanding and higher paying. Things gradually got better, but the daily routine still choked me. I constantly felt something was missing, often getting angry over it, snapping at Jack. He didn't understand my discontent and snapped back. It took some time to realize it wasn't ordinary family life choking me. I just missed those times when my relationship with Jack was just budding. I guess that's why I noticed a young client at work, and we struck up a romance. Working in real estate, I was helping him buy an apartment. Despite being married with a child, he started paying me special attention. Boxes of chocolate, flowers, inserting himself into my life like a fresh wind of change. His visits were always accompanied by treats and compliments, sparking coworkers' envy. He became a frequent guest at the office, and we often had lunch together. My relationship with my husband had become strained then. We often fought over petty things at home. I wanted to feel desired and loved again, to go on more dates with my husband and spend more time together. But after his promotion, he started working more and often came home tired. When I craved attention, he wanted quiet and calm. It just so happened that after a particularly bad fight, my young suitor finally bought an apartment and invited me over for a housewarming party. I was still angry at my husband over our last fight, so I didn't want to go home and accepted the invitation, just sending Jack a message I'd be working late. At the party were my client's friends and parents. Under the influence of alcohol, we kissed for the first time when most guests had left, and we stepped onto the balcony for a smoke and chat about life. I didn't allow anything more, but this burst of emotion consumed me. I felt like that playful young girl I used to be again. We met again a week later when my suitor took me out to a restaurant. I knew it was wrong to agree to the date, but the realization I was being admired and pursued flattered my self-esteem. The chance to wear a dress and heels, clink wine glasses over dinner with this charming man, just thinking about it sparked pleasant emotions. It all went just as planned. Or rather, exactly according to plan, when my suitor took my hand over dinner and suggested we continue the evening back at his place away from prying eyes. I knew where this was heading. I'd promised myself earlier I'd say no if such an offer came up, but still said yes anyway. It had been too lovely an evening to end it with my refusal. So we caught a taxi and went back to his place where it happened. The sex was unbelievable. It felt like the best of my life. And so began a secret romantic chapter. Our meetings became regular, but I knew this couldn't last forever. I hoped it would just be a fleeting passion where I could satisfy my need for male attention. But that's not how it turned out. I fell completely in love with my lover, and this realization hit me like a sledgehammer. I can't say my marriage was perfect, but I bore responsibility for it. I had betrayed my husband and couldn't look him in the eye, knowing all my feelings for him now felt fake. So I decided to come clean and tell him I'd met and fallen in love with someone else. This decision led to a scene burned forever in my memory. My husband exploded with rage and hit me across the face for the first time ever. "How could you do this to me?" he shouted. "After so many years together, we're raising a daughter." His face turned purple, hands clenched in helpless fury. I cried, pleading for forgiveness, but he was relentless. He said many hurtful things I probably deserved. This scene drove the final wedge in our relationship, so the next day I filed for divorce. Splitting possessions and alimony wasn't an issue, and I took custody of our daughter. My husband looked at me with such contempt, as if his eyes could cut sharper than any knife. I felt a pang of conscience expecting this reaction from him. As Chelsea and I drove off in a taxi to our new home, I stayed silent, ready to burst into tears. What's done couldn't be undone. The new chapter of my life began like a thrilling novel, but unexpectedly spiraled into a grim nightmare. My lover had been a first-class sex partner, but sadly that was his only redeeming quality. When it came to cohabiting, he proved maladjusted and unprepared. I learned he hadn't even purchased that apartment himself. It was a gift from his wealthy father. Beyond that, he seemed but a shadow, an insignificant person without purpose or ambition. At some point, he not only refused to care for my daughter, but suddenly lost all interest in anything related to me either. He became like a glimpse of the past, and I was astonished to realize how much he fell short of my ex-husband. The attention and care I once enjoyed seemed to evaporate. Even frequent unexplained absences became normal for him, delays blamed on work routine. When I expressed worry over this, yet again, a fight blazed out of control. He brazenly claimed I wasn't his wife and had no right to control him. It was more convenient when I was married, he said. Now, in his opinion, I only interfered with him living his old life. Then something happened I didn't anticipate. He hit me across the face. Me, who until then no one had ever laid hands on, not even my ex-husband, despite arguments. Now this man decided to use his fists. I fell onto the couch and he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I lay there a long time, bawling, horrified at how I could have preferred this lover to my caring husband. Having made my decision, I called my ex-husband with a trembling voice, begging him to pick our daughter up from school and keep her for the weekend. As I did this, I hurriedly packed bags for myself and my little girl. My work in real estate gave me an advantage, and securing new lodging was easy. I called a taxi, left that house forever, my soul shattered to pieces. Hysterics, tears, swearing, a bottle of alcohol, all blended into an emotional mush I desperately tried to process. Thoughts of suicide flashed through my mind, but thoughts of Chelsea stopped me. I changed my phone number, called another taxi, and went to that bar my ex-lover and I used to frequent, his favorite hangout spot. His fake smile greeted me there, and he asked if I'd calm down. In response, I wordlessly flung his apartment keys in his face before getting back into the taxi and leaving. Now I feel fear and shame facing my ex-husband. I realize how foolish and vile my behavior was. I destroyed our family's happiness and subjected Jack and my daughter's lives to needless suffering. It's been 2 months since I left my ex-lover, and though it would seem everything should have settled down, my inner state didn't match outward reality. Yes, I escaped a dreadful man I had loved and nearly self-destructed over, but I also couldn't just slip back into my old life. I started seeing a psychologist to try understanding myself, the motives behind my past actions, so as not to repeat them. In the time I was gone, my ex-husband seems to have aged. There's gray now in his hair, though he's not yet 30. A deep furrow appears on his forehead when he sees me, eyes full of sincere contempt. I beg his forgiveness, but he brushes it off, saying he doesn't need to forgive me. As he puts it, the only reason he speaks to scum like me at all is for our daughter's sake. He loves her immensely, always happily taking her for weekends, bringing her to the amusement park, buying her nice toys, sometimes even meeting her after school to go for ice cream at her favorite cafe nearby. I'm grateful he didn't abandon his own child because of my mistake and remains a good father to our daughter. But my heart aches each time I'm faced with the realization he'll never want me back. Is there any hope at all? Even the tiniest chance? I hate myself for my mistake and have regretted it 1,000 times over already. My soul remains bound to him, and I'm willing to do anything to get him back, to restore our family. Sometimes I allow myself to naively dream of remarrying him, starting with a clean slate, but the longer time goes on, the less I believe in a happy ending myself. And so now the only thing I dream of is for our daughter not to repeat my mistakes someday and to find happiness with a man she loves when she grows up.